From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I have Laura Elizabeth with me, and we talk about her client portal product. Sit back, relax, grab a drink, and enjoy the show. This podcast is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency that can help protect your WordPress website today. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and see what we can do to help you protect your business investment. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I have my guest Laura Elizabeth with me. How are you today, Laura?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. You know, the new year has started at the time of this record. We're all good, so that's the important thing, right?
Absolutely.
So I thought today we talk about client portals and the value of them. But before we go there, how did you end up in the WordPress space or kind of in the client portal space?
Yeah, so I started out as a freelancer. So I was doing freelance web design, and my website was on WordPress, as it seemed everyone else's was. I created a portal for myself to use with my web design clients. And at the time I was doing a lot of speaking at conferences, podcasts like this one. And I would mention, something you can do as part of your onboarding is to give your clients a portal where they can access all their deliverables. People really liked it, and they wanted to buy it, even though it wasn't for sale. So I turned it into a product, and I basically did a survey and asked, what would you like this to be built on? Because it wasn't anything at this point. It wasn't on WordPress. It wasn't a SaaS. It wasn't anything. And the overwhelming majority of people, I think almost everyone at the time, this was in 2016, said WordPress. So I thought, all right, I'm going to hire a WordPress developer and make a WordPress plugin. And that's the simple way I got into the WordPress space.
That's interesting. So your portal is based on a custom plugin, is what you're saying? It's not an out-of-the-box or off-the-shelf solution?
Yeah, it's a WordPress plugin. So yeah, it's not a SaaS or anything like that. It's just a WordPress plugin.
Okay. What's the number one request that you see out there, having developed a portal and kind of working with portals, that people have for portals? Like, what's the kind of biggest thing that people want?
I think it's something that their clients will actually use, that's simple enough for their clients to use. Because if you think about it, clients aren't necessarily tech savvy. We might be. We might know how to use all these different tools, but clients aren't. And what's frustrating from both if you're a freelancer, an agency, and a client, is you can use project management tools, which are great, especially if you have a big team. I'm actually a big fan of project management tools. But then when you add your clients to them, they don't want to use it. They don't want to have to sign up to a new project management tool. They don't want to have to learn how it all works, because they can be quite complicated. Some of them have, databases and certain ways you have to do things, and their terminology is different. So their clients just don't use it, and they just resort back to email, and it just gets really frustrating. So the big thing that people want is the sort of complexity of a project management tool to help them keep on track. But then they wanted something separate that they could give to their clients to keep them out of that project management tool, that would give the clients the only thing that they need and nothing more. And so that would be things like If you have questionnaires, for example, that they need to access, or deliverables or invoices or contracts, just all those bits that come from all these different places. If they can log in on your agency or your freelancer website, they just log in and they get a dashboard, which just has everything related to the project. So from deliverables to discovery to assets and everything like that. And really that's it. Like it does a few things more, but that's basically what the product is. And the benefit there is that it keeps everything together. Their clients, as long as their clients can log into a form, they don't have to do anything. They can just have it all there. And then it keeps them out of the project management tool if you need one. Some people don't, some people do. And it just kind of separates that a little bit.
Yeah, I find truly that clients don't like to go into their project management tools. You can give them access all day long. At the end of the day, all they care about is deadlines and deliverables. They really don't care about all the stuff in between. And I found that, and I mean, I come from a PMI background, and the corporate project management tool, of course, is Microsoft Office. Unlike all us people who live in the online world, and I call Microsoft Office like the pig of project management tools. It's just awful. And I'll share a story. I worked with CTO back in the day, and he insisted that project plans were submitted in the way he liked to see them. So most of us PMs kept two tools, two project plans, one to be submitted that looked like the way the CTO liked it, and one that was the real project plan that was the way it should be, right? I mean, this is the game. And clients just don't like that stuff. Clients don't like going to a portal. They'd rather grab their phone, send you a quick email and say, hey, Laura, how do I do this? And be done with it. Clients don't like help desk systems. I'm in the middle of implementing one right now. Oh, is that another story and fun? They resist and they fight it. And you finally, as a agency owner, have to put your foot down and say, this is the way I do business. Here it is, and handhold them and make them follow the process.
Yeah, but you also don't necessarily even have to do that. So if you think about, the good thing about what I do is that I've been on both sides of it. So I've been the freelancer, and then I'm also the client a lot now as well. And I do really understand, like, I don't want to log into somewhere to be able to send a message. I use email constantly. Like, email is great. I am a big fan of email.
So am I.
And yeah, and I just want to be able to send an email and get a reply. And I think that's fine. I think we should be able to email, but the thing that I think that Client Portal solves that's particularly useful is that we want to reduce the amount of unnecessary emails. So things like, oh, could you send me that invoice from 2 years ago? Or could you send me, I'm as a designer, so I would get logo requests. I would get people from like 5 years ago asking me, can you send the logo that you did for us, the source file? And I'm like, oh, that's on like a different hard drive. I don't even know if I've still got that.
Yeah.
So having just somewhere where they're like, it's there for them if they need it. If they don't ever need to log into Client Portal, that's fine. They don't have to use it. But when they do inevitably need to find something, and presumably I always think that most clients aren't particularly organized. I'm quite organized and keep everything in folder structures, but I know not everyone does that. And they'll keep things in like email attachments and stuff, which is a pain to find. So when they inevitably need something, and it's like the middle of the night for you or whatever, and they need it right now, they can just log in anytime and get it. So it's kind of like, I really like it because it's not forcing them into the way you work. Obviously, if you're talking about more kind of corporate enterprise type clients, so it wouldn't, I don't know if it would necessarily work with the type of clients you work with, but for the sort of smaller freelancers and agencies, I think it's a really nice balance between those things.
Yeah, I'll share with you another story that's really interesting. When I ventured down the route of a client portal, and I've got one, I work that way with my clients. You just have to train them and handhold them a little bit and help them. Believe it or not, I took Google Classroom about 5 years ago, and I hacked it to run as a client portal because I was too lazy to build my own at the time. So I actually set up each classroom, quote, as a client. and I dumped all their stuff in Google Classroom, and that was kind of how I ventured into the world of portals. And then I finally said, "Forget this. I'm just going to build one and be done with it." So, but
Nice.
yeah, it was an interim solution that for a while worked, but then as your client base grows, it wasn't going to work well. So you do what you got to do. Did in terms of client portal, do you have a lot of customers that are running your plugin right now? Or?
Yeah, so we have quite a fair amount of customers. I think I can't remember off the top. I think we've got about, I want to say 8,000 customers.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I might be wrong. It says on the website, so I might have got that
Yeah.
number wrong, but I think it's about that. Whether they're all using it or not, I don't know, because I don't have access to that kind of data.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite a it's become quite popular over the years, which is nice.
No, that's a good thing. And what's the number one feature request you have from your clients to change client portal these days?
To be honest, the number one feature request is, well, there's sort of two that are tied. The first is to integrate it with page builders like Elementor, which we're not going to do as at this time. We've got no plans to do that. Instead, what we're doing is we've redesigned the whole thing, and we're using the Gutenberg's blocks. We're using the block editor.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be released this month. We're just running the beta test right now with a small group, and then that's going to be start to rolled out slowly over the next month, because it's honestly, we've been working on it for about a year and a half, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a really big change. So we're doing that instead of page builders, because it's like a slippery slope when we get into page builders, because there's so many, and I feel like we're a very small team, so the updates and the support, I think we couldn't handle. So that's a big request that we get, but hopefully this one will help solve that. And the second thing is a Zapier integration, which I'm really hoping in 2024 we can make that happen.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I was going to go the road of automation. So you're working on, because I think from my perspective, my rule is if I'm working on tasks and I have to do something 3 times in a day, if I'm going to find a way, I'll automate it. Like once we hit that 3 times point, and Zapier or any other tool to automate it, I think is really important, because what do you do with the invoice that comes out of your billing system and you drop in your client portal? What do you do with the logo that you drop on a Google Drive and you want it in your client portal? I mean, those are just 2 real easy examples, right? And we know what we do now is we move the files around manually, and then we spend all this time. And I always look at stuff like that and say, how do I get myself out of this?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be it's going to be a real game changer. I feel like we've had a lot of updates and features that we've really needed before this point, but this to me is just one of the biggest ones. After the new block editor, this is like one of the biggest ones. And then I don't actually know what we'll end up doing next, because there are other features, there are other things we could do, but I need to have a think about it, because I want to protect the simplicity of the product. I don't want to add features just for the sake of it, but I obviously want to keep improving it. So, but I think this, on our long roadmap for the last, I don't know how long, 2016 was, 8 years, is it? It's this is like the last big thing that I think is going to make it so useful to so many people.
Have you thought about doing any integration with an email marketing package like ConvertKit or MailChimp or anything like that to help streamline that side of it? Or is that kind of just not on the radar?
Do you mean for the product itself, like to get that to integrate with it? To be honest, I haven't thought about that.
Okay. It was just an interesting thought. That's because I know the way I work is I send out emails. I have clients tagged in my email list. So I've got clients that are tagged as non-clients and clients that are tagged as clients. And then there might be some value there. Just, if you can just go into the portal and say send, and then you're done, right? So
yeah, that's true.
What's the current pricing of client portal? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the pricing is changing as well, but as of right now, it's $199 a year for the single site license, and then we've got a multi-site license for $399 a year. But we're changing the pricing. It's gonna be in 2024. I don't know exactly when, and we're changing it to be more of a instead of just separating from single site to multi-site, we're going to have, you know, the core client portal, and then we're going to have another tier with things like we have a WooCommerce integration and, you know, things like the Zapier thing that we were talking about and all that kind of thing for the higher tiers, which I think just makes a lot more sense in terms of features and pricing and separating it out that way. But it does involve some changes to the code base that we need to figure out. So, yeah.
I do hear one thing out of you is you do not have a lifetime pricing, if I'm reading you right. And that's probably a good thing, because I think a lot of WordPress devs go down that route and say, oh, we'll just offer a lifetime pricing, or we'll just let the community dictate a lifetime pricing. But I think that type of a model is really bad for support costs and a multitude of other costs. I don't think it works as well, personally.
Yeah, it's really difficult. So I did a lifetime deal back when Client Portal first started, and it was really useful to get it on the map. You know, it got a lot of the initial customers, and it was really, really useful. But I think in terms of what I made versus how much it's cost to continue to support the customers now, like I didn't make enough. At the time it was great, but I didn't, like, at this point, you know, it's 2024 and I did 2016, 2017. And I still get emails. I still get support emails on a weekly basis from people who got the lifetime deal a long time ago, which of course we still honor. But since I'm not a developer, you know, the support costs are quite high. So it's hard to say whether I regret doing that or not, though, because I don't know. I don't have an alternative universe where if I didn't do that, would it have ended up being as successful without those early customers? Because, you know, they did talk about it a lot, and, you know, a lot of them absolutely love it. So, you know, there was obviously a benefit there. And so I try not to think about the question too much, because I've got no idea whether I would say it was worth it or not, but it is a big drain. So I wouldn't do another one.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at what's kind of happened in the WordPress space, and there was a company back in the day called Headway Themes. Don't know if you remember them or don't remember them. And they got into that mess where they offered Headway in versions 2 and version 3 as unlimited updates and a lifetime deal. Well, unfortunately, they had cash flow problems, and they did that. And then I've had just talks with one of my good friends is Mark Westgard over at WS Forms, if you know Mark. And he has no intention on his form product of offering a lifetime deal because of support cost reasons. So it's interesting when you talk to different people how they break it up, kind of. And by the way, Mark, you end up in another podcast. I don't know how that keeps happening, but that's another story.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've seen people doing a lot in the I don't say a lot, but in the WordPress space now, is that they're offering a lifetime deal, but so they kind of work out how much a typical customer's lifetime value is, and then they offer a lifetime deal that's just a little bit more than that, with the idea that they would have, you know, canceled their subscription before. But what they do is that they offer lifetime updates, and they offer maybe like 3 years of support or something, or a limited amount of time for the support. So it's kind of like a hybrid lifetime deal, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yep. And the other problem too is it's a whole thing around how you want to market the plugin, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. And I think the hybrid's a good idea. As I say, I'm not a big fan of LTDs per se, even buying them, because I kind of look at it and say, is the support going to be there in 2 years if I buy it? I'd rather buy something that's sustainable from an agency perspective for me. So I look at things differently than a lot of people. A lot of agencies are trying to cut dollars. I kind of look at it and say, are they going to be a partner in my business? Are they going to be around in 2 years? And how do I make them a partner in my business?
Yeah, I agree. I think because the other problem with lifetime deals is, as you say, there's a certain type of customer that buys lifetime deals, and they tend to be, I would say, earlier on in their journey. As you get later on, you realize, because you've had bad experiences, right? So you have an experience where you'll get a great deal on something, and then it's gone, or it changes, or something happens, and then you have the headache of having to migrate. And migrating anything is just the worst thing that you could do. If you want to change your email platform or anything that you want to do like that, it's just not a great thing to do. So you end up saying, okay, I'm going to go for the more sustainable company rather than this lifetime deal. And as you probably know, it's almost like the less that a customer spends, and it's as true in client terms as well, at least in my experience, the less that a client spends is the more they want from you. So it's
yes,
like
they want
to
spend a cheap price and get the Ferrari on the road, right? It's
Yeah, exactly. And it's so you don't, not to say you don't want those, but you also don't, you want to try to target the people who are going to pay a fair price to, invest in the development and the support of the product, that understands that this has ongoing costs, and that isn't going to sort of overuse your support for every little, a tiny question that's like barely relevant, and they would want a 60-minute call or something, for example.
Yeah, I look at that type of pricing and those type of clients, and we were talking before we went to air, is they're not my client and they're not the ones I want to work with. So I kind of, you got to throw your pricing kind of accordingly and say, okay, what's the kind of client I'm trying to attract, in what spectrum and what price range and what thing, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
It's hard. Pricing is the bane of all of our marketing existence, as far as I'm concerned. It's the hardest thing to nail down, and I think you just got to test and retest, kind of deal. Just kind of moving forward a bit. If you've got a potential person who's looking at a portal, what would be your 3 quick takeaways that you would give them why they should buy Client Portal, real quick?
I think it would just be, if you want something that's really client friendly, that your clients are going to be able to use and use if they want to on their own terms. If you want something that's branded to you as well, so a portal would be branded to your company. If you use lots of different things like Google Docs or whatever random tools that you use that are great, that work for you, if you want to kind of keep the links to those in one place that's branded to you, makes you look a bit more professional. There's that as well. And then, just basically having just a central place on your website where your clients can go to see exactly what they need. And actually, one interesting thing is that you'll find that as even, your clients find it useful to find everything, you as the agency owner or freelancer will often log into your client's portal to find the thing that you've lost as well. So it's kind of useful for everyone. So I think those are the 3 main things I'd say.
Yeah, and you mentioned as a freelancer logging in, I have done that where I've logged in and said, where did I put this graphic? Where did I put this note? Where did I put this piece? And I've actually logged in myself and dealt with it that way. So that is a benefit. It helps you organizing. And frankly, this would be a really good time for an agency to jump on this. At the time of this record, it's early in the year. So start your year off right, get organized, make your life easy, and maybe it will free up your time not answering those quick emails. Where do I find my invoice? Where do I find my logo, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're about to do the biggest update we've ever done. So it honestly couldn't be better.
Yeah. And what's your time frame for that update again? Or I'm sorry.
End of this month, we want it to be released to new customers, and then we're going to drip release it to existing customers as well.
Yeah, and do yourselves a favor. If you're doing an update, make sure you back up your WordPress site before you do the update, please, and thank you, and save Laura and her team a pile of issues and people like me a pile of issues, because too many people like to do updates and just push that update now button. And we all know in the world of WordPress with plugin conflicts, it becomes a bit of an issue sometimes. So take the steps.
That's a good point. I'll make sure I reiterate that as well.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to mention on the roadmap or with the product?
No, I think that's really what we've got going on, to be honest. It's such a busy time at the minute. And, as you say, start of the year is always quite a good time for us because people are looking for a new solution to help them with their projects and manage their client workload and all that kind of thing. So I always really like January. But yeah, we're pretty busy. We've got pretty much the whole of 2024 mapped out already. So yeah, that's about
That's
it.
awesome. That's awesome, Laura. I wish you good luck with the product. If somebody wants to get a hold of you to talk about the product, to have any questions, how's the best way?
Yeah, so if you just email hello@client-portal.io, that's the website as well, client-portal.io, which is a quick tip. Don't put a hyphen in a domain name because it's really annoying to have to say the hyphen every time.
Yep.
You can also find me on Twitter. So it's @Laura Eliz with a Z done, and chat to me that way. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Laura. You have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too.
This show is brought to you by StunningDigitalMarketing.com, your Toronto leader in digital marketing services. Not only do we protect your WordPress website, we can help you with your site, provide social media management for your business, or even do one-on-one consulting. To find out more, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. A very special thank you to Laura for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. Hey everybody, Rob here again. Thanks for listening to the SDM Show. It's such a pleasure to have you every week. If you want more on our agency website, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. We are your WordPress security experts. We'd be glad to help you out. If you want to learn more about me, Rob Cairns, go to meetrobcairns.online. From there, you can find links to everything I do on the web, as well as book time with me. So feel free. If you want to make comments about this podcast or know a guest possibly suitable for the podcast, please email us at podcast@stunningdigitalmarketing.com, or conversely, you can go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and tweet at me at Rob Cairns. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much, and I love you. Please join us next week for another interesting podcast, and have a great week, everybody. Bye for now.